So let's walk through another practical example of a finite state machine. Here we're going to use finite state machines to generate a clock signal of various duty cycles for us. So here we have example 30-7, a mixed duty cycle signal generator. And we're going to design a state diagram that an FSM could use to generate an output signal of different duty cycles. The FSM has a 2-bit input signal cell that selects the duty cycles generated by the FSM according to the table below. The final period of the final signal must be 40 microseconds. So you must state the clock frequency of your FSM. Okay, so what we want this thing to do, again, step one, we read the problem and we try to understand what it's asking. So we have different select inputs will give us different duty cycles, and it's helpful to draw this out. So you can see when it's 0, 0, we want to get a clock waveform with a 25% duty cycle. And remember, we want the final signal to have a period of 40 microseconds. So what does that mean? That means that this clock needs to be high, or a 1 for 10 microseconds, correct? So that way it's high for 10, which is going to be 25% of 40 microseconds. So we'd get our 25% duty cycle. For the 0, 1 input, it needs to be high for 20 microseconds to get 50%. It needs to be high for 30 microseconds to get 75% duty cycle, and it needs to be high the whole time to get 100% duty cycle. So we can actually visualize this by drawing a clock waveform diagram, which could be very helpful to help you understand the problem. So here you could see you've got these different clock periods shown here. For your first time, we'll call this a 10 microsecond increment here. For select equals 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, it's high for all of them. In the next phase, if the select was 0, 0, it's going to be low because we want it high for 25% of the time. So this is high, and then high for 1 10 microsecond block, and then low for 3, high for 2, low for 2 for the 50%, etc. So here it helps to draw it out to visualize that, okay, if we make our clock of the state machine 10 microseconds, we can have the states transition every 10 microseconds, so that way in the first state for the select equals 0, 0, we could have a 1 output and then a 0, a 0, a 0. You'll see how this looks in a moment. Okay, so we're understanding the problem. Step 2 is to draw the black box diagram. We know we have two inputs, a 2-bit select input and a clock input, and we have a single bit output, which is just going to be the clock waveform. Okay, so then we need to draw a legend. Oh, I guess Brian Mealy did not draw a legend in this textbook. He just went ahead and started with the first 0, 0 state. So here you can see we've got state S1 has an output of a 1, which is sig, for the first state. Then if select is 0, 0, it's going to move to the next state, which will give us an output of 0, an output of 0, and an output of 0, and then it goes back around. So this is corresponding to exactly this line in this picture. So we've created now the 25% duty cycle waveform, and you can see that we get from the state where we're outputting a 1 to the state where we're outputting a 0 right away when our select is 0, 0. Now you can see though the next state for each of the other ones has a 1 output. So this is the case when select 0 is a 1 or select 1 is a 1. So you'll see now we go from our 1 state to the 5 state, which also outputs a 1, with either of those conditions. If we have a select 1 as a 1 or select 0 as a 1, because that's what we want to have happen for these 3 other cases. Okay, then if we're doing the 50% duty cycle, that's where we have select 1 as a 0, which is not the case for these other two. Then that's going to take us back to this 0 state, so that way we're going to get a 1, 1, 0, 0, which will then go 1, 1, 0, 0. So we get that 50% duty cycle at the 10 microsecond clock frequency if we go that route. Okay, so the next step is, let's look at the third item we need. So in the third, in time 3, you can see that we want another 1 for both the case of where we have the 1, 0 option or the 1, 1 option. So this is where select 1 is a 1. That will bring us to a state where we need another 1. So you can see here, select 1 is a 1, and that brings us to state 6 where we're outputting a 1 again. So again now, if we wanted to do the 75%, then we're going to have a 1, 0. So the 75% is going to be where we have that select 0 is a 0. So we're going to get a 1, 1, 1, 0. Back around 1, 1, 1, 0. This will happen when we have the option of 1, 0 to get the 75%. So the last one is when select is equal to 1, 1. And then we'll have another state that will bring us to be 1, 1, 1. We have another 1, and then it's just going to go back to the original state again. And this happens when we have the select 0, which is going to give us the 1, 1 option. So we have 1, 1, 1, 1 going back around will give us that 100% duty cycle.